Well, good morning, boys. What a wonderful morning it is to be a England fan. Welcome to It's Just a Game of Two Halves. Charlie had a late one, Robbie had a late one, and I, in my wisdom, decided to stay up and watch the Argentina game. Only made half an hour, and then I went to bed. Charlie, you was out on the lash watching it. Was it a great atmosphere where you was?
It was. It was quite tense for a lot of it because of how the game panned out. But yeah, it was a good atmosphere.
Robbie, where'd you watch it? Home with you live?
Yeah. No, I watched it. Yeah, just me and my boy. It was really late, weren't it? He's only 9, but we enjoyed it. It was quite tough, a lot of it, but we got through it. Yeah,
I had a gig at 11 o'clock last night, so we dressed up like got our Blues Brothers gear on, went out and walked in the bar, which is normally rammed. You know what I mean? There was 8 people.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, oh, fucking, excuse me, nearly swore. And I'm thinking, oh God, like I said to the woman, "Do you sure you want us to do this?" Like, and all the bars were full that had the football on, and she went, "Well, look," and the bosses told me we got us fair enough. Anyway, we had a group of about 15, 20 Spanish come in, and like, they really appreciate. Like, it's funny with the Brits in Benidorm, they just want to get smashed and really don't worry about the music. But with the Spanish, most of them can play a musical instrument, and they really appreciate someone that can play an instrument. So it ended up being a good show. But I got really sweaty and proper sweaty, And then when I got home, I didn't feel great. Not like didn't feel ill, but when you get that sweaty, you can't cool down. So I come home and I jumped in the pool, and Julie come out. When you're going to watch the last foot, I went, I can't. I went, I've got to sit outside. Like, I feel really, really warm. So I got up this morning and watched extended highlights. I think I got a message. I think I forwarded it to you guys. A mate of mine, he's followed. I'm going to get him on here when he comes back. He's gone out there and he's been following England all the way around, Dave. And he said, really, we were second best for most of the game. He says, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We won. From what I see on the extended highlights, for me, it looked, and I know the highlights ain't the same as when you're being there because you can never see who's running into space or whatever. But for me, it looked sort of 50-50. How did you see it, Robbie?
Well, I thought first 20 minutes was England just controlling possession, not doing a lot with it, but holding the ball. And then Norway scored with what I think was a cross. But they were caught sleeping, England, then. And they seemed leggy in the first. It seemed very leggy, England. Looked tired. And just after Norway scored the first, they should have had a second. And Stones made a mistake, and Haaland nearly got on the end of it. And I think that would have been it. And then I was hoping just to get to half-time, but then Bellingham was clearly man of the match. Dragged us back into it when players around him were having a quiet game. And we got to half-time, and you think, buzzing a bit then. That was the first bit. But some players there, we were speaking yesterday as well, like Mwadeki, did nothing. Charlie will tell you in a minute because we had a chat last night about the subs and that, which seemed a bit odd. But I think it was one of them games we didn't play great. Fair play to Bellingham with it. The team looked tired, a bit leggy. And Norway didn't offer a great deal either, first of all. And then they grew into the game. And they did well. It was one of them, we've won it and we got through it. May not have played great, but we got through it. And I've got to be happy with that. But they'll need a bit of a livener before Wednesday.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Charlie, Charlie was sending me messages. Obviously, when I was working, I was trying to see what the scores were. Did you just think it was a 50-50 game?
Yeah, I was quite surprised by the Norway started because they just seemed to be quite defensive. And I didn't quite get why. And it was just a case of a bit of a training session, really, of attack against defence. And they was like, well, come on, England, break us down. They got that goal. But then again, like you said, they could have scored again, but they didn't really, really go for us. And then, we got back into it with a goal, which was very, very well needed. But we were too slow in that first half. The play was so slow, and Madueke just did not seem to want to take that fullback on at all. And then oddly, he takes Rice off. He takes Madueke off, brings on Eze and Saka, and you think this is an attacking substitution here. And we do what Norway did, and we sat back.
Yeah.
And we just kind of was like, well, you break us down. It was, very weird, game of 2 hours, really, in a way, wasn't it? But it was very, very odd. Almost kind of more like that game was more like a tactical warfare than actually players playing football. And then, extra time I thought was pretty even. and we just managed to get the goal. And again, yeah, they didn't really offer nothing, Norway, which I was quite surprised at. I thought they might have gone at us a bit more.
I do think we should have got a penalty though, because I mean Harry Kane when he went kicked someone's leg, didn't he, earlier on in the group stages, and he give a penalty away, and without a doubt the guy, you know, accidentally or not, comes through the back of his leg, and I thought we should have had a penalty. Do you reckon, Charlie, or not?
I do, yeah, but I mean, like Spence steps in front of him to, you know, gain advantage to get the ball, and he takes his leg from behind. I don't see how that isn't a penalty. I just don't see how it ain't.
Was it a pen for you, Robbie?
Yeah, he's allowed to protect the ball. He's running towards goal. I said to Charlie last night and anyone else that would listen, if that was Messi running through and that happened, it's a penalty. If that's Mbappe, that's a penalty. Maybe, I don't know, because he's a defender or whatever, but it's a penalty. It doesn't matter if it's accidental, does it? That's part of football. Kane's one was accidental. Some of these others.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a pen. Absolutely, full stop. I mean, I did watch the interviews at the end of the game, and Tuchel was saying it weren't good enough. You know, certain players weren't enough. And then they speak to Bellingham, and they went, I don't know why interviews do it. You know, they're always trying to call something. You know, they're planning that heat, aren't they? They've just got themselves to a World Cup semi-final. They could make themselves immortal, couldn't they? You know, in this, since in the 1966, the players are still talked about now. And when I started looking at the 66 team and what they was looked at going into the game, and I think it's a lot like this England squad. Not too much was expected of them. You know, they had a few good ideas before, hadn't they? And I think it's the same with this England squad. And we spoke about this at the beginning. There's no use peaking too early, and it's nice to grow as a squad. We said yesterday that we thought Norway had the better team ethic, you know, and they was a lot tighter as a group, and I think that showed on the pitch. But I think this England team, I don't know why, they've got a will to win, and like them or don't like the way Mr. Tuchel, or Tommy Tuchel, as Robbie calls him, they've got this way of finding a way to win. And I think in football now, with knockout football, we don't want to get to penalties. We just don't, you know, because then it's the lottery, whoever wins it. But I do think he's installed in something in these players. They've got a will to win. And, you know, I'm so chuffed for Bellingham. When he was like the main man, when he was first signed for Real Madrid, he scored X amount of goals, like continuous games. And when he started, he got goals in every game. And they brought in Mbappe, and they sort of haven't got a position for Bellingham. And it's really ruined his game at Madrid. And they didn't have the greatest seasons last year. And I think it's really good for Bellingham that he suddenly can show what he can do. And you can see now, this is giving him a lot of confidence. Personally, I think he's got to move on from Madrid. And because I think he's always going to be, you know, we know what Mbappe's like. Although I do think as a player, Kylian Mbappe has matured a lot. I don't think he's got that childish petulance that he had early in the group. I'm not running. I'm not, you know, helping the team out. I'm the main man up front. And he himself has become a team player. Have you noticed a big change in Bellingham, Charlie, in this World Cup? So I think we needed someone to help Kane.
Yeah, the thing is, he does always turn up for England, Bellingham, doesn't he? And I mean, I've watched him at Madrid and stuff, and you try and figure out what he's almost world class at. He's a very odd player when you watch him, because you know you think, well, he ain't a six. He doesn't really seem like a box to box midfielder. But for me, he's become a moments player, and he's there when you need him, and he comes up with that goal or assist, and you need that player. You know, sometimes he'll kind of go missing in the game for like 10, 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden he'll just pop up and do something. But it's great to have, especially in a tournament, because you need those moments.
Yeah, I agree with you. Robbie, do you think Bellingham's come to the fore in this and proven himself to be the main man?
I think he's only second to Mbappe as a young player with the amount of goals in the World Cup. And bearing in mind, he doesn't take penalties and he's not a striker. He is a big game player. He proved that for England in the Euros. What I liked last night was he was walking a tightrope, and he is a bit fiery. And he was walking a tightrope on a yellow card, and he managed to keep calm throughout all of that. That really, I don't know, made me feel that he'd really matured. Because if he can keep calm in a game like that, then you start relying on players, big game players. I always remember Drogba at Chelsea in finals and stuff. You can rely on these type of players. to do it. And that's what he proved last night. And Kane had a bit of an off day, but that's going to happen. He's going to get marked. We spoke yesterday without Kane or Bellingham where the goals come from. Well, that was our answer, wasn't it? It was still Kane or Bellingham. But if he keeps scoring, or both of them do, we should be very happy this time next week.
Well, we shall come on. Let's just finish off with the Norway game. When I see the Norwegian players at the end, I thought they were so respectful. You know, to a man, they went out and shook out. A lot of them know the players in the Premiership. They weren't the sulkies. You know, you get them lying on the floor, don't you? And people not just listen. There's nothing worse, I suppose, than losing, and you know you're going home. But I thought a lot of Norway last night because to a man, you know, Ireland, he led them out and they went up and they shook hands with England players. And I think they took the defeat very well. Unlike their manager this morning who has come out and said that the ball for our first goal hit, you know, you've got this cable that goes across the pitch now. It is invisible to the naked eye, really, and the camera slides along it, doesn't it? And he's saying the goalkeeper kicks it out, was kicking it down to his right. And the ball hit the cable and it come down, and that is why we got on the attack and scored the goal. I think that's one of the best excuses I've ever seen. Do you think it hit the cable, Robbie? Yes or no?
No. And there's a sensor inside the ball that would have told us. So no, he's clutching at straws.
Darling.
I mean, I saw it this morning as well. No one mentioned it last night. But I mean, at the end of the day, is this not what VAR's for? If they thought it hit that cable and the ball came straight back down, should they not have reviewed that? And they clearly didn't think it did at the time. So, but look, if it did or if it didn't, there's nothing, you know, they're not going to replay the game or nothing. And it's just one of those things.
Who cares? Look, I couldn't care less. I couldn't care if it's someone in the head and the linesman on the head and it stayed on the pitch and we just go, who gives a monkeys? You know, we're through. Stop whinging. You had 90 other minutes plus another 30 minutes of extra time to win the game and you didn't. England got through it, which takes us on to our semi-final, which is going to be against... there's something a bit more serious I want to talk about here, which someone mentioned to me when I was speaking to my friend Stuart this morning, which I didn't realise. What I noticed last night, there was quite a lot of mix in the crowds. There was people sitting everywhere. Now, we all know when the World Cup tickets go on strike, you can buy the tickets from whenever you want, right? They don't care which team you support, as long as they're greedy because they get their 32% FIFA of all ticket sales. I noticed there was a big mix. Now, we know there's a lot of history between England and Argentina. Do you see there being problems between the fans at the semi if there's going to be a lot of mix like there was last night, Robbie?
Well, it's possible, but it's not like Hooligan City like in the 70s and 80s, to be honest. I think most of it will probably be all right, depending on both sets of fans, because there's a lot of them that ain't angels. Bringing up things like the Falklands War and stuff like that. You speak Spanish, you know the songs that the RGs sing about the English people. So it depends on people being adults. It's a game of football. You know, what will happen if they are mixed and there's a lot of bad banter going on, let's say, is at the end when there's a loser, it's possible. But I don't think you'll see a lot, to be honest.
Hopefully not. Charlie?
I think this is the first time in this World Cup it could kick off. Yeah, I do. I mean, I can't remember in the group stage, and I'm pretty sure it was Argentina again. I can't remember who they played, but it kind of got heated a bit outside the stadium before the kickoff. I can't remember the other set of fans, but nothing really happened. But you feel like with a mixed zone, and especially before the game, and yeah, like at the end of the day, they absolutely hate us more than we hate them, really, don't they? So. And it's going to be, it's like whenever Argentina and England play at the World Cup, something always happens, whether it's Maradona, Beckham, then you had Beckham's redemption in 2002. Like, there's just a lot involved. And it's set up because whoever wins goes to the final.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, before we touch on the England-Argentina game, can we quickly speak about the France-Spain? Do we think that's just going to be a technical game and they're going to negate each other, Charlie? Or do you actually see this as being a really, really good game from technically two really good teams, Charlie?
I think everyone should be looking forward to this game, but I do feel like, especially the way Spain have gone way about this tournament, I can see it being more tactical than quite open. I can see it, not being a great game to watch, if I'm honest. Two great sides, funny enough, me and Reece done a World Cup predictor, and this was our semi-finals, Spain v France and Argentina v England. But I can't see it being a great game. I can see it being more tactical, if anything.
Robbie?
Yeah, it's difficult. In my head, this should be game of the tournament. Really, it should be all action, but it's not, because we saw even with England last night, the teams are not going to want to make a mistake, especially against a top-class team like France or Spain. So I do think this could be cagey. Hopefully, we'll get an early goal from either team and it'll be game on. But otherwise, like Charlie said there, I do think it could be a bit tactical until the last 20 minutes. I know that I don't think they'll both sit back if they score. I think they'll go for it.
I hope not. I hope they come out and they do some stuff for the fans, because I think technically this probably, look, to all England fans, of course I want England to go in the final, but I think technically it could have been a great final. This final, I've got to tell you, boys, just quickly, when we were talking yesterday, we predicted the scores, didn't we? I said 4-3 to England. I think Charlie said 3-2. I think you said 2-1, Robbie, didn't you?
2-1.
And so, it's all over 90 minutes. So I thought, right, I'll open my Ladbrokes out and I'll have to bet, you know what I mean? So the racing was on at Newmarket. We went to Newmarket, Julie and I, a couple of years ago now. She went, you put me a bet on? So go on in, pick an horse out. So she picked an horse out and I've done it for her. And then I thought, I'm going to do it with a double with something else. So I always call her my Northern champion, where she's, been fighting this wretched disease now for so long. So I put that in the double and completely forgot about it. You know what I mean? And later on, she said, oh, that race is on in a minute. So the first horse went in. And the other horse was at Chester, so I just completely ignored it. And I thought, later on. Anyway, when I checked it later, it went in. So nice little 250 quid went in the account. Yeah, from a nice little double, which was a nice little bit of a surprise. But I hope so. I think Mbappe has changed. I don't think he's a team player. I've said it before, but he's changed my opinion of him wholesale, and I hope it's a good game. Right, we get on to England Argentina. Did anyone see any Argentina goals last night from Alvarez? Did you see Alvarez's goal?
Yeah, great goal.
Now, Mr. Moyes, right? Mr. David Moyes got offered him at West Ham for £1 million, and he said no. He's not good enough. Don't want him in our system. So thank you very much, Mr. Moyes, because he's just been sold for 100 million. So, well done. Another bit of good work you did for West Ham. Charlie, tell us your thoughts on this game then.
It was quite surprising. I mean, Argentina were kind of on top. They could win 1-0 up, and oddly, they sat back. And Switzerland really came into that game. Got it back to 1-0, and it was coming, and it was deserved. And why that bloke went and dived when he was only on the halfway line, he weren't even going anywhere, I do not know. I do not know what went through his head, especially when you got Varna and about 100 different cameras. I don't get it.
They deserve to get sent off?
Well, it was a dive. He did dive. So, simulation. What can you do? And it was. He went to he fell to ground before the bloke even touched him. It was so odd why he done it.
I thought with Norway's first goal, I thought Kane got fouled, by the way.
It didn't seem to get reviewed much, did it? That got done very quickly.
It didn't. That's a difficult one, because we all feel it was a foul, but part of me thinks I think he got the ball, or part of the ball, and I think Kane made a meal of it. To be honest,
He come through the back of him, Robbie.
He did, and I'm not saying it wasn't a foul. I could see why it wasn't given. To be honest, and the thing is, though, this goes back to simply a stupid mistake playing out from the back. That's we've moaned about this all season with our clubs and stuff, especially like Chelsea. It came from a stupid mistake at the back. So that's probably why old Tommy was a bit peeved, for want of a better word. Because
listen, Tommy, have a few beers and chill out, mate. Let's talk about Argentina. Robbie, tell me your true thoughts on this England-Argentina game and how you think it's going to go.
I actually, in all honesty, not with me St George glasses on, in all honesty, if England play as they can play, I think we can take them. A lot of it is still all about Messi We need to be big in midfield. I do hope Rice is fit and that Anderson, because that's the battle. It's the centre of that midfield. England just going to be very, very careful with all the dark arts that we know are coming. And I'm hoping he's prepared them for it, because that's the thing. The discipline is what could cost us in that game. Argentina haven't looked great. They've got through their games. We're all going to moan. I've got a Colombian friend, a Brazilian friend that calls them FIFA and Vargentina and all of that. England need to be very disciplined and not sit back. You can't sit back against a player like Messi. And I think we can.
Robbie, but South American teams, they lose their heads quickly.
They do. So we've got to be clever. You know, you've got to have a player that can get involved, but without making himself, get in trouble. Someone keeps his calm, because they start pushing and shoving and you don't react, you're going to start getting decisions. And we know that there's a red card in that game somewhere. I just hope it's not for us.
I hope it's not Burnham or Kane. Charlie, come on, tell us about the Argentinians and what your true thoughts are. Don't have your... Speaking about your St. George's glasses on, Robbie, I've noticed when they're doing the fan zones, I don't know whether it's a stick your finger up the establishment. There's not a lot of Union Jacks around in the England section. I'd say 95% of the flags are all St. George's flags, aren't they?
That's always been that with football, though, I always felt. Especially with a football team, it's always been St. George, isn't it, really?
Well, I always used to take a Union Jack when I used to go years and years ago. Me and this kid called Stephen Barrell used to go all the England games from about 12 years of age. And my Uncle Peter had a lorry business, and he had this Union Jack. And he was massive. You know, we could rub ourselves in it about 10 times, and get on everyone's nerves when we was at Wembley with it. I always took a Union Jack. So, but Charlie, come on, tell us something about the Argentinians and some other players, not just Messi. Talk about people we've got to worry about.
No, look, obviously Messi's their main man. We get that, and like Robbie said, I don't think their defence is all that. But Romero and Lisandro Martinez on the day are very good centre halves. We know the goalkeeper from Villa, Martinez, is a good goalkeeper, and McAllister at Liverpool, and Julian Alvarez, who is being linked with £150 million move to Barcelona.
He was offered at West Ham for $1 million, Charlie. Don't forget that.
Yeah. So look, they do have talent, absolutely. But this team, I think this Argentina team, because they almost play for Messi. Yeah. And they play to kind of suit him and stuff. And the thing is, we know by now Messi's going to walk around. He's going to go and find that space, and he's going to walk around, and he's going to let the others do the dog work and that, so he can do his thing. This game could be spiteful, and we could see a few yellow cards. And I know we don't know who the ref is yet, but we are going to need a strong ref for this game, a ref that keeps control of it, because otherwise it will spiral quickly. And yeah, I think they are going to try any trick they've got in the book.
I think the head of FIFA has said it's the chief of the Argentine Referees Association who will be doing it.
Infantino himself is probably doing it with Trump in goal for England.
Yeah.
Charlie, come on. Where are going to be the big matchups? I know Robbie mentioned Rice. Where do you think are going to be the matchups where England can win or Argentina can, win or lose the game?
Well, again, you go back to Lisandro Martinez and Romero play in the Premier League, right? So they're going to, they're physical anyway, because, Argentinian centre-backs are. But Romero and Kane will kind of be a big one. And the thing is, we know Romero's got a hot head. And again, Kane can kind of use the dark arts himself on him. The midfield will be a big one. I agree with Robbie, because, something isn't right with Rice. Again, he's free kicks and corners. It's just like, oh my God. Like, you think this isn't the same guy that's been whipping him in for Arsenal all year. He just does not seem right. And Tuchel has no interest in playing Mainu at all this tournament. But Rice and Anderson have got to control that midfield. They've got to get a grip on it. And with Messi, I mean, again, you've got to just get tight to him, ain't you? Really, don't give him the space. Know where he is at all times. When he's dropping into that space,
if he doesn't play Rice, going back to Rice, who does he put in centre midfield along with Anderson?
Well, he doesn't have much option, does he? Because Henderson went and broke his wrist, and he doesn't want to seem to play Mainu. I mean, last night I think he brought on Eze, didn't he? And I think maybe he dropped Bellingham back. But then you lose Bellingham. That what Bellingham does well when you drop him back into midfield. So it's a tricky one. But I think all over, really. But I think the midfield, and especially kind of the 2 10s, really Messi and Bellingham, is probably going to be where this game's won and lost.
Yeah, I agree with you about when Martinez went to Man United. I thought he was too small for a centre-back and completely proved me wrong. I thought he's a hard little player, good little player. And especially when you had Amorim there, I thought he marshalled the defence a lot better, and because he wanted to, learn the system that Amorim did, and he wanted to play, not it ended up for him. But you are right about Romero. I think he's one of those he's like a touch paper, and you can just go bosh, and it goes off, and he could get sent off. You don't want games to be decided on being sent off. But I just think we are getting that little bit of team spirit. And as I said to you before, have Argentina peaked, too early? And Robbie was right about the heat last night. I thought both sides coming near the end of 90 minutes, they look flagged. Both sides look absolutely flagged.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, whether you've played it at a professional level or whether you played it on a Sunday league level, playing football in 34 degree is never nice, is it? And it takes it out of you. So I can only imagine, professional players run at like 10 kilometres on average a game. So it does take a lot out of you, the humidity and everything else. And it probably played its part in the game yesterday. But, and we forget Argentina have gone to extra time. All of their knockout games. They've not won a game in 90 minutes yet. So, again, they are not battering teams or anything. And the thing is, we spoke about England and, that we're finding a way. But Argentina are finding a way. And you can even look at Spain and go, well, Spain are finding a way, because they're not putting teams away either. So, and we have been critical of England, but when you look at Argentina and especially Spain, they're doing the same thing. They're getting by. So
I think they've had a lot of luck as well, Charlie. There's no way that Egypt goal shouldn't have been given. I've looked at that God knows how many times now, and I think that they're dead and buried if that other Egypt goal goes in. And I think they've rode their luck. And at some point, I mean, Robbie's adamant. He calls them Argentina, that they're getting the rubber to green, and surely the rubber to green with the VAR. I can't stand it. I don't even know why we're talking about it. So I don't like talking about that and referees. I think it's got to go against them. But let's have a prediction, Charlie.
Oh, I think it'll go to penalties. Well, I think they'll cancel each other out. I really do.
Well, I don't want that.
We are not going to do this the easy way, are we? Let's be honest.
I think we might surprise people if England truly go out believing in themselves and he's got the team right and the players are fit. I think we can beat them in normal time, preferably without my blood pressure going through the roof. But I don't see there being a lot of goals in it.
I watched a Jordan Henderson podcast yesterday, and he said if he's needed, he'll play. And I've got to go back to the 1970 World Cup. You boys weren't even born, you know what I mean? Not 70, 74. And Germany played Holland. And there was two brothers, Willy and Rennie van der Kerkhoff. And we had an English referee for that final, a guy called Jack Taylor. And one of the Van der Kerkhoffs did what Henderson had done. Couldn't jump a 2-foot fence. He fell over somewhere else, And he wore a cast for the final. And the German players refused to play. And they said, if he wears that, we're going to refuse to play. And the Holland players went, well, if you don't want to play, we won't play. Let's go then. Let's walk off. And you could imagine, this was just before the start of the World Cup final. So in the end, they had to wrap some sort of sponge around his arm, and he played with a cast on. So I don't see no reason why, if we do need it, why Henderson can't play, Charlie.
Yeah, I think these days, it's more of a strap, innit, than an actual cast, innit, I think. And so there are, I think there'll be ways to get around it. I think the thing is, this game is almost going to overshadow Spain v France. And the build-up to this game from either side, even both medias and stuff, is just going to be non-stop until Wednesday. My worry I do not want what I do not want more than anything is, regardless of whether we win or lose, that we are talking about VAR on Thursday morning. And that is my worry, that we are going to be. There's going to be some kind of VAR call, and we're like, what on earth was that? You hopefully it's settled with the football, not by VAR. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, it could go either way. You could think they're going to cancel each other out. It could end up being an open game. It could end up being a kind of bloodbath where both of them are getting like 5 yellow cards each and are sending off. This game really could go either way. Like, we're speaking about France, Spain, going, well, we think it's going to be more of a tactical, technical matchup rather than an open game. But with Argentina, England, you can kind of see it going either way. I mean, the 98 game was actually a great game of football. Both teams scored great goals. It was the Owen goal, wasn't it, really? 2002, the group game, it weren't much. Like Beckham penalty was kind of fairly... We played well that day. But yeah, this could go either way, and I think the build-up for this is just going to be ridiculous.
I think, like you said, Charlie, keep the politics out of it. What happened with the Falklands in 1980? They call it Las Malvinas, don't they? Then it was the players.
Yeah, so did Gary Lineker.
Well, I don't know why Gary Lineker. Because he learned a little bit of Spanish, did he, when he played for Barcelona? Who don't even class themselves as Spanish, by the way. The Catalonians, they class themselves as well in Catalonia. Look, I don't want no politics brought into it. Let's play a game of football. Let's get it. Do you think that the cable that goes across the bridge, they're going to wrap it in rainbow flags or something so that it's not just ridiculous? I think they need to cut it down if they think that. Guys, I just want to talk about, just for a change, us guys. Robbie's made this list, by the way, which is, I weren't going to bring this up, but Robbie's compiled the list. And just for a change, we've got nice and early. So we said yesterday, players we're going to lose, players that have been absolute legends that we're not going to see in World Cup. So I'm going to throw them around. Robbie, you do one. Charlie, you do one. I'll just call them out and you tell us something about them. Because I think this is only the list that Robbie's made. I'm sure there's going to be others that just great players. Robbie, you tell me about Messi.
Yeah, well, it's been, what's this, his 6th World Cup, I think. He's currently top scorer. I do think Mbappe will take that because he's a lot younger. But, a truly world-class player, probably one of the best the world's ever seen. And this has to be, what is he, 36, 38? It's got to be his last World Cup. I can't see them doing anything other than that. So, and he's currently the record scorer. And I hope that
I think you're right. Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't score anymore.
Charlie, tell us about Ronaldo. Portugal Ronaldo.
Yeah, obviously one of the greats in it, whether you put him first or second. I think, unfortunately, the World Cup never really happened for him, despite Portugal ever going into them with some good sides. Not many World Cup moments for Ronaldo. They were like little bits and pieces, but he's still a great player and he'll be missed.
If you had to go for the GOAT between the two of them, who would you have to pick if you had to pick one for your team?
I'm biased. I'm still just going to pick Ronaldo just because of the Man United ties.
I would. Yeah. Robbie?
Yeah, Messi.
Yeah. Now, there's a guy now, Robbie, who I never thought hit the heights that I thought he would have hit. A lot of money in football, but I just don't think when he come out. Neymar. Give me something about Neymar.
Me or Charlie, because I tell you, I think he's one of the most overrated players of all time.
Robbie.
He's overrated. He had talent, clearly, but was more interested in trying to emulate Ronaldinho's nightclub exploits rather than really showing it. So, no, for me, I don't think he was an amazing player. I think he had the talent, but I don't think he ever did much with it. And he didn't. Brazil haven't done much, have they?
I think if you want to talk about Neymar and his off-the-field antics, you want to speak to some of the Barcelona's fans and what R9 did. R9 used to go out in a bus and bring people, literally busloads back of girls and have parties all over the place. I mean, he never kept the figure, did he? And never had the body, but he was one who really did party and didn't look after himself. Charlie, I think the most underrated person in this group, I think the consummate professional, he did win the Ballon d'Or later on in his career, but I still don't think he got the recognition he did, was because I think he carried Croatia for quite a few years, was Luka Modric.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the most brilliant midfielders ever, wasn't it? Graceful, technical, could do anything, could score outside of the box. His passing ability was unreal. And yeah, he was underrated for a long, long time, even at Madrid. The Madrid fans didn't even like him when Madrid first bought him. They was like, who on earth is this? But, you know, he stuck it out and he showed everyone what a great player he is.
World-class player.
I just rate that. I think he was he's up there. He's up there, not far behind Messi and Ronaldo. Same team, Robbie, Perisic.
Yeah, well, he did a lot for them over the years. And again, another probably underrated player. But when you watch him play, and you've seen him over the years, I think he was a cracking player.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when they lost that semi to France a few years back, Croatia, I thought they could have gone on and won it because they had a good team. Now, listen, guys, I think this is going to be an absolute void, a void amongst voids when this guy goes because I don't think we produce number 9s anymore. I really don't. For whatever in world football, we don't seem to want this type of player. And he has changed his game. And I think going to Germany has created a phenomenon with Harry Kane. Charlie's always gone on at me. Dad, he's a good footballer. He's got a good brain. He dropped. You don't realise what a great footballer Harry Kane is. So Lord over Harry Kane, Charlie, because I think we're going to miss him like no other.
Yeah, I mean, when he was at Tottenham, I thought it used to make me, and no one ever used to talk about his range of passing. Okay. His passing was unreal for a striker. You know, he drop balls over the top. And I mean, in a way, you know, he'd play passes that if you're a striker, that's the pass you want. That's the best way I can kind of put it. But his passing was underrated for so long. You know, he's gone to Bayern Munich and he's kind of, again, proved what a world-class player he is. He's going to be missed big time. And like you say, the problem is you've not got someone there at the moment where you're like, well, he'll replace Kane. Similar to Portugal with Ronaldo, isn't it? Like, Portugal's problem is that they keep playing Ronaldo because they don't really have anyone else. And you look at us and you go, well, Ivan Toney kind of ruined his chances a bit going to Saudi Arabia, and Watkins, you don't really ever look at being England's main man. So, yeah, like, what a player. And, yeah, he's going to be missed.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what they did at Germany when they trained him, or they refocused his brain to do other things in football. So I thought I think he just can become a complete player at Bayern Munich, and I think he should end his career there. Robbie, another one for me. I think he was in the UK at the right time for me, and I think he played under Klopp, and I think Klopp played the perfect football for Mo Salah, and I think Mo Salah had the perfect player on the other side of Sane, that, you know, where they could complement each other. But I think he ruined his career for me when he wrote that letter to the Liverpool and put it on the Liverpool forum, didn't he, about how he didn't get respected anymore and he should get played more. And you don't do things like that. You want to say things like, do it behind closed doors. But really, and wasn't he at Chelsea at one point, Robbie?
Salah? He was, but he never got much of a game there. He never had much.
Tell me about Salah then, Robbie, legend.
No, I do. I think he's been a great player for Liverpool. They did build it, him and Marnie, wasn't it? And the guy with the teeth, wasn't it? What's his Firmino or whatever it was? Klopp had his tactics. He never really played with a striker. We spoke about a striker. He played to get the ball forward to those three. And he scored some cracking goals. He's carried his team a bit. It's another one of those, a bit like Lewandowski. They play in a club where it's built around them, but they can't do it in the national team because they haven't got the players around them. So I do, when we're looking at great players that won't play again, you know, I don't like Liverpool, but can't deny it. He was a top-class player. And
I agree. I mean, Robbie's wrote Marko Arnautovic on here. It was funny. He came to West Ham, and we called him Arnie when he came to West Ham. And we played him as a winger, you know, become striker. And he was brilliant. Hard as nails. And it's a shame, really, because he took the pound note, he took the 30 pieces of silver and went over to Saudi, because he could have stayed at West Ham and become an absolute legend, because we need someone to put the goal. Now, the man with no club at the moment, Charlie, but he won a load of medals, Mr. John Stones at Man City. I think this is 100% his last World Cup, don't you?
Yeah. Bit of an odd one, Stones, wasn't he? I mean, he went to Man City for 50 million and everyone was like, why are they paying 50 million for him? And then he didn't play for like a good while, really. He was in the background, and then he just became this amazing centre-back all of a sudden, didn't he? He almost came out of nowhere because everyone had forgotten about him, and everyone was like, £50 million flop. but he really turned his career around and showed what a footballer he was. And I think he had a bit of was unlucky with injuries and all, but yeah, he's been a great player.
Yeah, I agree. Robbie, I'm going to skip one here because I've got a story about this next bloke. But De Bruyne, Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, literally, I think it was Martin Keown described him as an artist with his feet, didn't he? And used to, paint round the pitch. I think he was one of the reasons that Man City just did what they did for so long. Robbie, sorry, you could tell me about De Bruyne.
Yeah, they built it around again. Another one didn't really get a chance at Chelsea. Went to Germany for a bit, came back. Brilliant player for City, passing range and the skill. And remember, he was part of that Belgium team that had Hazard, him, and Lukaku as like a front three, in a sense. And they never. I don't know if it's a mental thing, they never got it. But was a world class player, and I can't see him playing again at a World Cup. And he'll be missed by.
I agree with you, Robbie. A consummate professional. He had problems, didn't he? When was it Courtois nicked his girlfriend or his missus off him, and he didn't let that bother him. Obviously, didn't really care much for her, and probably said goodbye to good rubbish. Charlie Neuer, the German goalkeeper, another one who's been a consummate professional for so many years, isn't he? At one point, no one could score against him, did they, for Germany?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think Guardiola said at one point he was tempted to play him centre midfield. He was that good of an outfield player. But yeah, great goalkeeper. Kind of changed goalkeeping a little bit. One of those goalkeepers that, I mean, he was probably the one who started it with playing the ball out with his feet, wasn't he, really? Yeah, great player. Again, unlucky with injuries started towards later on in his career. It was a bit of a shame, really. But yeah, great goalkeeper, great player. And yeah, you never really heard anything bad about him.
No, I agree. I've got to share a story about this next guy, Roman Lukaku, by the way. He seems to have played in a lot of places, and he's probably someone that never ever fulfilled his potential. I met a young lad over here when I was working as the entertainment manager in an hotel, and he'd never eaten anything. He had to be fed through a tube, and he used to take the mickey out of me every night, walk with like this Zimmer frame thing, mad Man United fan, and really got friendly with him. And when he went home, his mum and dad said he's never eaten from the day he's been born. Lucas Harris was his name. I mentioned his name to you. And he wanted to go to a Man United game. And this guy I know, he had 4 seats behind where I always say where Fergie sits, because you always go. And I rang this guy, Ray, and I went, Ray, any chance of getting me seats? I just want this Lucas. He had some really bad disease. And he rang me up, Ray, when I can't get you the first game. He wanted to try and get in West Ham because he was always ribbing me, this young lad, And anyway, Man United had just signed Lukaku. So when Ray went down to get him a shirt, he said, yeah, I've got the 4 tickets for him and his family to go. And he got Lukaku to sign the shirt and write something nice about Lucas on it and everything else. Sadly, and I do say it's sad, 3 days before the game, he had a fall in the shower and he passed away. He had like a brain tumor, which he never got. But my mate still got his dad, Michael and Kerry, they've still got the picture of Lukaku's shirt. They made like a little memorial for him. But I thought that was really nice, Lukaku. Charlie, do you want to finish off with Courtois? I'm sure there's more and more we're going to miss, but Robbie's just made this list very quickly of great players. And most of these have been good ambassadors for the game. I'm trying to look on there who's anyone that's you think, a diver, not. But most of these names you've compiled here, Robbie, they've all been good ambassadors for the game. Finish off with Courtois, Charlie.
Yeah, great goalkeeper. Another one was at Chelsea, wasn't he? Really, and got floated around stuff, but wanted to go Madrid. Went to Madrid and proved what a great goalkeeper he was. But he was even at Chelsea. He was highly rated at Chelsea, even at such a young age. And yeah, I think great goalkeeper, and I think it'll be a big miss for Belgium.
It is. So we've got Tuesday, we've got France and Spain. Predictions, boys?
Cool, tough one. I'm going for France to win that. That may well go extra time. In fact, both games probably could. I just hope England do it. I would take France to win that in extra time.
Charlie?
Yeah, I can see like a France 1-0 late goal in extra time, something like that.
Yeah, obviously I'd like Spain to win. Living out here, it's not took off, as I've told you before. But also, whenever Charlie has a sweepstake, I get the worst ulce in the Grand National that normally falls at the first sense. Me, Julie, and my mum. And for some unknown reason, me mum pulled out Spain in Charlie's sweepstake. So she's still running for a change. Charlie ain't rigged it right this time. So who are we going? What's the final going to be then, Sunday week?
My boy's written on here that England beat France 3-2. There's a board behind me. I'll send you a picture after. My 9-year-old's prediction is England beat France 3-2.
Charlie?
I'm gonna go Spain, England, just because. I mean, France can't get to another World Cup final, surely. But I don't think people realise how hard that is to go from. They've won it final. Then again, it is ridiculous to what they do. But I'd like England, Spain, just because I would like a bit of revenge for the Euros.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
I think technically they're very, very good. The Spanish. I think Yamal, and there's a guy with blonde hair the other night. He was like the link in midfield. He was brilliant. I forgot his name now. But before we get to the final, we will do a review on the final, guys. I want you to compile what goals you've seen throughout this World Cup, which you think are the greatest you've seen. I've wrote his name down on a wrong bit of paper now. I jumped in the pool before we did this, and I had a bit of paper in my pocket, and it's gone to nothing. And there was a Senegalese guy got the second goal, and the left back, it's a long ball over the top. He brings it down on his chest and hits it. And for me, it was an absolute magical piece of skill. I'll try and get it up and we'll put it up the next time. So before we do the next one, even if you're in there listening or watching this show, please put down who you think has scored the best goal. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've done 2 in 2 days. So we should be doing one, obviously, on Thursday at some point. Everybody, thank you for listening. Charlie, Robbie, have a great weekend.
Cheers. Come on, England.
Cheers.